Weekly Advisor Movements, 29 October 2020. So net left the industry. We had 24 advisors leaving this week. Switch licensees, 14. And again, a low week in joins, or a very low week in joins. We had nobody join the industry. Shout out to a couple of the switches. So Carolyn Infocus to Boyce. Greg Hislop from Libertas to his own licensed LifeMap Financial Planning, and that's with Philip Penklis. So congratulations, Greg. And Jason O'Connell moving from RM Capital to Chartreux Wealth. And I'm actually in Jason's hometown of Subiaco, or more affectionately Subi. I'm in front of the Regal Theatre there, if you can see behind me. So congratulations, Jason, moving to Rob's Chartreux Wealth. Top gains for the week, relatively small numbers here across the board, all to net two advisors. So in focus, Hunter Green, Chartreux Wealth, Shaw and Partners, and Millennium 3. You'll notice this week I've had a bit of an experiment. I did some rankings on the side of the numbers. So the move from December 2018 to today's numbers, but also the actual rank in terms of the leaderboard of those licenses on the overall licensee leaderboard. In December 18, we had 2,286 licensees, and in today's numbers, that's 2,171. So you'll see some movements here as the banks have actually moved out of advice, some shuffling of the decks in terms of in the upper ranges. So, for example, Chartreux Wealth, despite the fact that it's only increased by 5 advisors, has gone from a rank of 90 to 66. Shaw and Partners going from a rank of 30 on the licensee leaderboard to 17, and Millennium 3 actually ranking 9, and that again is a fragmentation of the banks in terms of out of advice. Top losses for the week. So AMP again shedding advisors 10, Garvin 6, again pointing out the fact that NAB Financial Planning moved some of its advisors into Garvin. Merit Wealth down 4 along with GPS Wealth. So again, those two should be combined. In terms of the overall group structure, they come under Eastern Investments. Commonwealth Bank down 3 and Libertas down 3. And to shed some insight on some of the rankings, obviously AMP will be kicked off its perch shortly by SMSF Advisor Network. Garvin, despite the fact that it is now ranked 6, that's by virtue of the boost of the NAB Financial Planners. Merit and GPS Wealth, if you look at them combined, overall they are down, but in terms of a ranking, they've stayed quite solid. Quote of the week this week. Again, I'm going to go with the theme of the scaled advice in terms of the conversation that is happening in the market, I guess, around the workability or the non-workability of financial advice as stipulated by certain licensees. And this one actually is a shout out to Sarah Kendall, who wrote her article this morning. So I only did this today. So from Eugene Ardino from Lifespan. So the difficulty with limited scope advice, you've got to be able to prove by documentary evidence that you've met best interest duty or bid. And the only way you're able to do that with certainty is follow safe harbour, which requires an enormous amount of investigation, research and documentary evidence. So no doubt this conversation is going to be going on for quite some time. Again, we're waiting on the government to come out with their paper and their recommendations of what scaled advice looks like. I know Danielle Press, the Commissioner, has indicated that scaled advice should be an option that advisors, licensees in the industry should be looking at in the current confines of the legislation. So it'd be interesting to see what case studies come out of that in terms of how this is workable. But all in all, I think it leads to a longer conversation or a longer look at the industry around things like self-licensing and dual licensing, and I guess the compliance and the risk apportioned to licensees, especially in this world of potential limited scope advice. So that's it for the week. Join me again next week. Thank you.